Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and I had this exclusive brewing, but I got to give props to where it's due. Rob Burnett, bravo, you beat me to it. Rob apparently had access to the same script that I did. This episode 9 Duel the Fates script that's starting to leak around and get out there, it's absolutely real. This was a working script that they made before Carrie Fisher passed away by Derek Connolly, Colin Trevorrow, and you can go learn more about it over on Rob's channel. I do want to plug him because he beat me, and I congratulated him, and we had separate sources, so I know, look, I know this one's real. Now, look, this isn't the script that probably would have made it, but this is a script that was absolutely a working script that Lucasfilm had, was on deck, and then ultimately Kathleen Kennedy and JJ passed on it and went their different directions. And what's frustrating about it is that it's better. It's absolutely better. It has a much better finale, at least in my mind. And it just sort of sums up everything, I think, in a greater way. I'm going to go through it all, but there's a bigger story here that a lot of people still aren't reporting. And that was going to be part of my take when I did break this. Now that I haven't, you can see a lot of it, but I'm going to still go through the sort of summary of what episode 9 could have been. But it's very important to also reiterate, there is no JJ cut. There is a footage, extra footage he had, just like every movie has extra footage. There's a lot of stuff he did, but there's no like big saving long JJ cut. That is all a spin from his team. Now, why you say that, Andy? No, of course JJ could have a cut. No. Everything he shot, the movie you saw was JJ's cut. They had shoots until October, November. From everything I've been told from inside sources, they knew the movie was in trouble. They were moving and keeping it as fast paced as quickly as possible to hopefully distract the fans. But he knew this was going to be troubling no matter what. That's also why he signed his deal with Warner Brothers. But all these people coming forward, his editor, Dominic Monaghan, his friend from Lost, sort of, oh yeah, there's a lot more footage. I hope JJ gets to do more. All of this was spin. It's very inside baseball, but it's all spin on JJ's and his team's part, which I got to give him credit for. So everyone's distracted and not blaming him for the failure of this movie. Now, I'm not blaming him particularly. I don't know, but all I know is he's very actively trying to stir the pot to create a confusion as to where the stink of this movie for people who are upset should lie. And that's all on him. That's all purposeful. So we're not going to get some big saving JJ cut. So get that. That's the other breaking story that a lot of people don't want to report seemingly, but it's true. So mark my words. We'll see. But I feel pretty confident that's not going to happen. What did happen, though, was a lot of throwing Colin Trevorrow under the bus. And I feel bad because this script is pretty solid. And all the news that came out and the way they treated him and sort of, we were separated, didn't have the same vision. Man, it's sad because he had a pretty strong vision. He did what he was told. He followed up the film previous, and I think did it better and justified a lot of the turns and made it fun. And I think he did what he was supposed to do. And I don't understand why they just completely course-corrected due to fan backlash and did what they did. It was far worse. This script is a lot stronger overall. I'm going to break it down with you. But I want to apologize to Colin Trevorrow, Derek Connolly. I feel bad. They have to now, the way Hollywood works, they can't come out and be like, no, we had this great script, here it is, Disney won't let. They're not allowed to do that. So I don't know where I think some of these sources are probably fans of Colin's just trying to stick up for him and not just let the JJ spin sort of be the last note on this movie, but to make sure his part of the history books of Star Wars is at least respected in that he tried. He tried his best, and I think we all should take that in as we read through and hear this breakdown. Colin Trevorrow tried hard, and I think he had a better script that I wish they would have stuck more into. It still could have had a lot of problems. Don't get me wrong, and I'm sure wouldn't have still. I don't know if it would have been perfect, but for me, it's a lot more invested. I was much more invested, and I like where it ends. I like how it all goes. I like that Rey is a nobody. They lean into that, and let's get to it. So anyway, that's the biggest thing. Colin Trevorrow, Derek Connolly, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you got so thrown under the bus here the way Hollywood does. I hope Jurassic World 3 is a massive success for you because I can't even imagine how tough it is to have all this inside and you're not legally allowed if you ever want to work again in town. You can't say anything. So I wanted to say that on his behalf. I don't know the guy. I've never talked to the guy. I have no access. Again, speculation. But part of me, I don't know. I have a very sneaking suspicion that's what's going on here. So let's get to what could have been. Let's get to what this project could have been. And to make it a little bit sexier, let's watch. Thank you, Damien Alpazar, my buddy, who helped me push this together quickly. Episode 9. Will YouTube notice that if I'm humming it? Because that's why the John Williams score isn't actually there. All right, but here we go. Episode 9, Duel of the Fates. I kind of dig it. I didn't dig it at first when I first read it. I was like, what? But it makes sense. It's kind of fun. It's full circle of fandom. And it is a duel of the fates. That's what this movie is about between Kylo and Rey, and I dig it. Anyway, here we go. Let's read this. The iron grip of the First Order has spread to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Only a few scattered planets remain unoccupied. Traitors' acts are punishable by death. Determined to suffocate a growing unrest, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren has silenced all communication between neighboring systems. Led by General Leia Organa, the Resistance has planned a secret mission to prevent their annihilation and forge a path to freedom. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, that looks beautiful. I like it better already. And it's not filled with a ton of exposition. It's sort of not 3 years later. It picks up pretty nicely from where Last Jedi went off. So get ready, guys. If you haven't already read some of these, you're going to get, and you liked Last Jedi, especially even slightly, and you didn't like Rise of Skywalker, I think you're going to be depressed. All right, so again, this is a clear sequel to Last Jedi. Pardon me as I read my notes. Luke is back, but he's not just back. He's like really back. There he is. He's really back. He's there in twofold. He's not just spouting exposition and forced in at the end when Rey needs it. No. He's there with Rey the whole time. He's a Force ghost trying to help her get over her sort of self-doubt and anger to get more powerful and understand the Force. But then he's also there to haunt Kylo Ren in this awesome turn of he's just sort of there always yelling at or trying to get Ben out and sort of talk some sense into him. So it's a great role. It would have been a better role for Mark Hamill and a better fitting finale to end on, to really see him actually put the actions he learned, and not just in one quick scene, but actually spread out through the movie and become a powerful voice, which I think they needed. They set it up. The end of Last Jedi is that see you around, kid. And then, they never follow through on it. He never sees him around. And what a missed opportunity, because whether you like Last Jedi or not, that ending scene, it was awesome. For me, that was the best part. I was just waiting for that showdown. And I think some people wanted it bigger or whatever, but it still was a great moment. And I would have loved more of those two, talking, especially given what happens in Last Jedi. We got to live with it. We got to move forward. We got to adjust it, not just run from it. And this script leans into that. So the see you around kid didn't pay off in Last Jedi, but it pays off here. It pays off in dividends, and we'll get to it. All right. So the beginning of the script reads very Star Wars. Rob talks about this too. I agree with him. It's Rey, Poe, Finn, and Rose are on a mission. Full of quippy dialogue. Rey is at one point disguised as a Tusken Raider. She's crafted her own staff lightsaber, which she uses in later sequences and sounds really cool. Dual-wielding lightsaber and staff. And they do this opening mission. It fails, but then Poe helps them steal a docked Star Destroyer. It's apparently on leave. Most of the crew's not there. There's only like a few people on deck, and Rey uses mind trick powers to take over and have them fly away and take the whole ship. And the ship is filled with a bunch of like First Order weaponry and ships and stuff, and it's a really clever use of choice, rather, and it pays off because we'll get to it. But they take this ship and they make it their own HQ that they use throughout the film, and it's a cool twist, fun way to do it, and pays off later. Then we meet the Knights of Ren, who in this version actually are threatening. They're established characters, unlike in Rise, and they murder one of the generals that messes up that first opening mission. Then we cut to Coruscant. Now, this is a big setting in the script, and it's the home of the First Order and its palace. We meet now Chancellor Hux. I have him here, Chancellor Hux, and he's so much better in this script than in Rise of Skywalker. And so something I don't think Rob has even gotten to yet, they give Hux a subplot where he's secretly obsessed with the Force, and he's trying to use it in secret. And it's like he's like a squib in Harry Potter. And so he wishes he could use the Force, but he can't. And due to this, he collects Jedi and Sith memorabilia, including a famous purple lightsaber. So it's fan service, but it really also adds this interesting backstory to the character that I kind of wanted to make canon. Spoiler alert, well, I'll get to more of the ending, but I'm not going to talk about Hux later. At the end of the film, when it's clear the First Order has lost, he actually commits suicide using Mace Windu's purple lightsaber, which just read really cool, and I thought that's a cool use of fan service, and actually that helps the character and gives him a little bit more. But so Hux, way better in this movie. Now, back to the other main characters here. Important to note, Rey, Rey is still a nobody. Okay, this version doesn't give her a relation to the Emperor. There's no Skywalker bloodline, but she's filled with much more self-doubt and a lot of anger in this movie. Which I wish she would have had a little bit more of Rise of Skywalker to show the duality. She's getting better at her powers. Luke's trying to help her, but people do call her out as a Jedi, and she's sort of resisting the Jedi term. Poe is given a lot more action in this. He helps Leia in the third act, and he's instrumental in stealing that Star Destroyer in the beginning, but he also spends a lot of time with Rey on this. They go on a mission in the second act to find this mystical seer, and then there's this one scene that's similar to sort of Winter Soldier where they're like, quick, pretend we're lovers so the bad guys can pass, and they share a kiss, and it sort of really does read as sort of chemistry is brewing. Which was interesting. She doesn't fall for anybody else in this movie. There's no other real love affairs. There's a connection to Kylo Ren later, but the real only sort of chemistry moment and kiss is with Poe, ironically, in an interesting scene. And there's no one really sort of there to like scream at her, I love you, Rey, Rey, Rey. Near the end, to protect him after that sort of Act 2 mission, she actually Jedi mind tricks Poe, and he leaves so Rey can face Kylo Ren alone. Now, Finn also given a much greater arc. He's still close to Rey. He gives it a good, inspiring moment later. But he's definitely with Rose. The chemistry's brewing there. It's not like a love story, but you can tell they're still connecting. And Rose also given a much better supporting character. I don't think Kelly Marie Tran will want to read this script because she'll just get very depressed of what could have been. She's captured at one point and then tortured and then helps the First Order, but then given much more to do. She gets to then betray the First Order and do this clever thing that destroys them at the very end, making her a true hero, which is what she, I think, deserved and sort of what was building up after Last Jedi. So with Rose's help, Finn meets other stormtroopers who want to rebel. And so he rallies all of these stormtroopers and also these forgotten poor people sort of at the base of the walls of Coruscant, all these poor people, to rise for a rebellion and an uprising. This idea was used in, and I'm going to try and talk about a bunch of these moments throughout the script that were used in Rise of Skywalker, because it's frustrating because Chris Terrio, JJ are claiming, no, we barely used any of it, just a few little things. But no, it's clear now why why Colin and Derek got story credit. There's a lot more they used that they aren't admitting to, which is very odd. So if this script gets confirmed, it is frustrating they're going to pretend like they didn't read it. I don't know how they're going to pull that off. But this idea of obviously the rising of other stormtroopers is expressed through Jannah in Rise of Skywalker, but it's so much better done in this movie. Instead of him screaming after Rey for the whole movie, he's given an army to lead and becomes a rebellion leader, and it is so much stronger for the character. It's executed much better in this script. All of this is leading to a much bigger, rousing finale. And it finally answers that question that sort of I've always had. Why do people in this galaxy just let the Empire, the First Order, just control everything? This script allows us to finally see people who are like saying and understand why enough is enough. We have to stand up against these terrible people. And so it works much better in the script. Speaking of First Order, they have made allies with several warlords. There's a cool script between the First Order dealing with some of these other people they've negotiated with. We see all these meetings with them, but we don't see Kylo Ren. We don't know where he is. Apparently he's been gone for a while, searching for something. And then we learn that he's on Mustafar. We see him with a droid, and he's been going through all of his leftovers on Mustafar. We then learn he's being haunted by Luke's Force Ghost, which angers Kylo greatly, and Luke is really just trying to get him back to Leia, and Kylo really doesn't take the bait. He goes full bad in this movie. He is the bad guy, which is just so much more fulfilling as you read of watching his downfall, and then eventual redemption, spoiler alert, which we'll get to. But he's on this mission to become the greatest Sith ever, similar to what Rise was starting, but again, much better executed in this. On Mustafar, he finds this Sith holocron with this old message from the Emperor to Darth Vader. And the message goes, if Skywalker succeeds in striking down the Emperor, Vader is to take him to the Remnacor system to find Tor Valum. There, the son of Skywalker will learn how to harness the untapped power of Mortis. And so Kylo puts two and two together and then we learn that Valum is actually, Tor Valum is the Emperor's Sith teacher. And basically the Emperor's Yoda. So meanwhile, Kylo gets all this. The holocron sees it's not Vader, as it does a scan, and it severely burns him and singes him. And it reads like he's become sort of like the Emperor did with Rah! Which I think I have a picture here. There he is. Sort of like that, like the weird folds and dark white skin rather. Seems to be that he goes through some massive injuries. for the remainder of sort of the movie. He's hurt. He goes back to Hux, and that's where Kylo reveals he's in search for Tor Valum, the greatest Sith power, and how he also now understands Vader's weakness. It was love, and how that clouded his judgment. Love clouded Vader's judgment, so he grabs Vader's helmet and he destroys it, saying he'll never fall down that path. Kylo goes to this planet, the secret Sith planet, again reminiscent to Rise when they go to the Sith planet there. They go to, and he eventually confronts Tor Valum, who turns out to be the 7,000-year-old alien. It reads really cool, like it would have been a cool character to have added to the action figure collection and the canon. And he decides to train Kylo. And it prompts this epic vision, this scene that could have been where, similar to Empire, where Luke faces Darth Vader, Kylo confronts Darth Vader, and they have this epic battle where Kylo loses. Oh, it would have been so glorious to see that in another sort of justified moment that actually fit to the plot, to have him cameo in a better way. So super frustrating. We see Leia is tracking all of this and feels that the dark side's in Kylo. So she starts talking to Rey, who thinks she can save Kylo. Leia reveals, I thought that too. Leia, my whole life I've heard about balance, but you're not like my father or my brother. You're new. Remember, the Force chose you. Your story isn't written yet. I like it so much better when Leia is like sort of helping her, encouraging her, and it's more difficult than just like the weird training montages. And I know that was not JJ's necessarily fault because they didn't have a lot of footage to use. So that's hard to criticize. I get how complicated that must have been. But her part reads so much better in this, obviously, because they wrote original lines and scenes for her. So Rey and Finn have an inspirational moment. Finn tells her, Rey tells Finn how much he has inspired her. She goes, Finn, it's never too late to change. You taught me this. Again, important to note, I wrote this again, but the romantic chemistry of them is not really a thing. It's more their friends in this. And there's no like force powers or something he alludes to. It's standard. He raises up the army to fight back all the stormtroopers and everybody. So then we move along. We learn that under Coruscant, there's a Jedi temple that has this force beacon from the Old Republic that can get the word out to a lot of people to come help. So this is the hope that Rey and the Resistance use, along with the Star Destroyer that they've used as their headquarters, to press forward. We then see Force Ghost Luke shows up to inspire Rey. He's sort of the Ben Kenobi to her, and just really is trying to help her get stronger. He's also showing up to Kylo and to unleash Ben Solo. Interesting enough, there is a scene with Han Solo. He's very similarly written to the scene in Rise. Again, another moment Rise used. A difference, though, is Kylo rejects him. Kylo is like, no. But again, another weird similarity. So there's a lot of advice from the past that comes in through these characters, but it doesn't read poorly. It reads fittingly because it's spaced throughout and it feels a little more justified. But Rey, what I like about it also is it gives Rey this justification to really get angry and sick of it. She doesn't like this feedback from Luke. She doesn't want to be called a Jedi. She tells him over and over again, I'm a no one. Luke then replies, I know that anger, my father had it too. Rey goes, so says my master and his master before him, 1,000 masters so eager to tell us how to live. I really like her rebelling against sort of the way it is, because why are we still living that the way it is? So she's getting fed up, and I did enjoy her fighting back. At this point, the characters then split off. Rose, Finn, and R2-D2 and C-3PO, who also have a lot of great scenes in this. R2 and C-3PO do a lot of great. There's a scene where during the end, C-3PO has to destroy this Sith robot, this First Order robot, and is sort of politely explaining why. And it's a really funny and crazy dark scene where C-3PO of all people is murdering a fellow droid for the cause. That's how far it gets and how dramatic it gets. And it's a really cool scene. But so he versus I see my friends. Not a good finale for me when compared to what C-3PO and R2 get to do in this movie and help Finn gather the people to sort of do this rebellion. So then they go off to that. They go off to get the beacon, which they do eventually succeed for a moment. Then Kylo Ren shuts it down. It is sort of it's important, but not very. It's sort of a delayed thing, but triggers some other moments. Rey, Poe, and Chewie, though, they go off to find that mysterious seer, which helps Rey find Kylo. And Leia is back with the troops. There's a scene where she sort of desperation reaches out to Lando and asks him if she can help organize smugglers to fight the First Order, but he declines. Finally, Kylo Ren and Rey reach Mortis. I'm fast forward through a lot just to sort of get through the main points here. Planet where place Mortis is key because Kylo thinks that this is where he'll harness the ultimate force power. He's had some moments with Hux earlier where he's like, we don't need any stupid stuff. I'm going to have the power we don't even need a planet-killing weapon. And so he thinks that this power will let him rule the galaxy without starships or armies. So all of this sets up this fantastic finale on the page. All of it's building up to this moment where everything sort of makes sense. They're finding their way. Things are answered. And then we have this finale where it just really gets great. We have this ground battle on Coruscant where Finn is leading this uprising of the defecting stormtroopers and this epic space battle as these late in the game reinforcements come, and they're armed with First Order weaponry from the Star Destroyer they destroyed. So it's all been like, it's like the First Order ships that they stole, but it's all like repainted with rebel colors. And so it's just a really fun sort of sequence and awesome opportunity to have some new ships and adjusted ships. Would have sold way more toys too. Disney huge mess up. While we cut back to Kylo and Rey and their big showdown, we had cut back to the war. So here we go. So Rey is there to save Ben, but Kylo is seemingly too far gone. Rey and Kylo battle using this force energy that they can pull from each other. And during this, we learn it was Kylo who killed Rey's parents. Big twist. At the behest of Snoke. Kylo defeats Rey. She's really dead, practically bruised, and she's blinded, left on the floor. He continues searching through the Temple of Mortis for this ultimate power. Statues of the ancients stand there. Sound familiar? So I take a sip as we get through and read. Now I'm going to read you some pages. Luke shows up. He goes there to find this power finally that he's been waiting for, and there's nothing, and he freaks out, and Luke shows up. You've lost, Ben. Luke Skywalker steps in the light. A thin blue glow traces his form. Kylo, you're dead! The Jedi are ghosts! Luke, the dark side has failed you, like it failed my father. Kylo, your father was weak! Luke, his love for his family saved him. I wish I could save you. Luke looks deep into his former student's pained eyes. Kylo, I did what I had to do. Luke, you chose hate. Kylo, I chose power. Kylo fires his saber and attacks, but Luke catches the blade with his gloved hand, stopping it in midair, stronger than Kylo could possibly imagine. Kylo, I'll be stronger than any Skywalker has ever been. Their faces are inches away from each other, separated by the red blade. Luke, you are no Skywalker. Rey lies motionless on the stone steps, blind and bleeding in the rain. Then her hand moves. Her eyes flutter. They open, and Rey says, Luke. Luke, expression changes, sensing her. Let go, Kylo. You cannot defeat us. Kylo, us? Luke, I am not alone. Obi-Wan was right. Exterior temple night. Rey drags her shattered body up the temple steps. Her arm gives out and she collapses. The pain is too much. Luke, we're all connected, all living things. It cuts to Leia, feeling Rey's pain. She says, Rey. Luke, the Force surrounds us. We then cut to Poe. This is all intercut. We cut to Poe who's flying. Luke, it binds the galaxy together. Suddenly Poe feels this connection from across the galaxy, and Poe says, Rey. We then cut to Finn, crouching from cover as lasers are flying overhead. Luke, we are one, bound by the Force. Finn feels the connection, a surge of hope. Finn says, fight, Rey, fight! Back in the temple, Rey hears him. He's there with her. They all are. Finn's voice, a distant echo. Fight! Temple of Mortis. Luke gives his former student a faint smile. Luke, we will not be broken. With all her strength, the last Jedi rises. She unwraps a strip of cloth from her bandage on her head. She uses it as to blindfold her eyes. Interior temple, Luke vanishes. Beyond him, Rey stays tall in the arched doorway, blind, bruised, determined. Rey, our masters were wrong. I will not deny my anger. I will not reject my love. Her fallen lightsaber flies into her hands. Rey, I am the darkness. I am the light. Kylo, you are nothing. You are no one. She ignites the blade. They crackle. Rey, no one is no one. Rey, Kylo charges. Their blades meet and sizzle. Rey fights him blindfolded, guided by the Force. Dude, I love it. I love this build-up, but let's keep going. At this point in the movie, Leia and the Resistance battle seems lost, just like in Rise. When 1,000 ships appear from hyperspace, a massive fleet of smugglers and thieves flying tricked-out, junkyard-bound personal cruisers. The pirates that Han Solo had spent half of his life running from, and in the lead is Lando's starship, the Lady Luck. Talk about more toys! Lando, I thought you could use a few scoundrels. 9-9, aging alien in vintage bomber jacket, shakes his head in the co-pilot's chair. I'm getting too old for this S in an island language. Lando's ragtag fleet attacks. It's a much better reveal of support. Truly cheer-inducing moment for me, because I didn't cheer during the Rise of Skywalker moment. But it's earned in this. It feels so much better. Back to the temple. Kylo counters Rey's every move. They are evenly matched. Two sides of a coin. Hold on, let me put a better image up as I'm describing all this to you. I thought, there we go. Two sides of a coin, flame and shadow, fighting to the death. A vicious swing, and Kylo's lightsaber shatters at the hilt. Destroyed, along with several fingers on his left hand, cut across his palm. He looks at it with disbelief, stumbles back to the empty well of Mortis, and falls to one knee. Rey stands over him, anger flowing. She separates her dual lightsaber, holds one blade pointed to Kylo's chest. Kylo is stunned by the powerful being before him. She's almost glowing. Unfathomable, living force within. Kylo clenches his teeth, his eyes furious, a rage since we haven't seen, since Anakin. He reaches out to open the palm of his good hand and extracts the living force from Rey, as Tor Valum taught him. She rises, energy flowing from her body into Kylo's hand as the life drains from her. She pulls her blindfold off and screams to the sky. Kylo stands tall, energized. His face has returned to normal. He's healed. He pulls the iron plates off his skin. They fall away, healthy, fresh underneath. He looks beyond the empty grave of Mortis. Kylo, they were wrong. All of them. The power of this place can't be taken. Rey, Ben! Kylo, but it's nothing compared to you. Kylo takes more from her. Rey's almost gone, drained of life. She summons all of her strength and reaches out with the last of herself. She offers him her hand. Rey, Ben, please. Cut to Leia. She feels the disturbance and pains her in the vastness of space. She says her son's name. Ben. Temple, night. Kylo hears his mother's voice. Carried by the voice. Leia, Ben. He stops, hearing Leia, feeling her close. Leia, come back. Come home. Something happens to Kylo when he hears his mother's voice. Leia speaks to her son through the voice. Help us. Temple, night. Kylo feels the very thing that destroyed Anakin, but doesn't make him feel weak. He looks at Rey's outstretched hand and takes it. The living force flows back into her. Both light and dark swirl within Rey as Kylo is reduced to an empty shell. A man without power, a frightened boy. Kylo and Rey collapse into one another, each propping the other up on their knees. Rey is close to him now, their foreheads touching. He is weakened and spent. In the last moments of his life, Kylo says, Solana. Rey is stunned. It is her name, distant like a memory. Kylo, your name, with his last breath, Rey Solana. These words are Ben Solo's last. Rey watches the light dim in his eye, but is the light and not the darkness. Rey says goodbye, Ben, with a look that could be perceived as love. Ben Solo dies. Rey releases her whole, collapsed, barely alive herself. They have fought to the death. We see more of the battle, then a space, and we come back to see Rey lying flat on the stone. Silence. Light fills the space around her. Particles of energy floating up as she rises with them. The light engulfs the frame until we reach a place beyond what we know. This is the astral plane. Glimmers of energy flicker like fireflies in the darkness. Rey opens her eyes again, clear, unburdened. 3 of the distant glimmers grow larger than the others. She moves them. Yoda, Luke Skywalker, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Rey, is this death? Obi-Wan, in this place there is no such thing as death. Rey, who has been blinded earlier, says, I can see. Obi-Wan, your true self is free of suffering, free of pain. Yoda, taught us much you have. Rey, I've taught you? Yoda, succeeded where others have failed. Narrow was our point of view. Luke, you chose to embrace the dark side, end the light, to find balance within. Yoda, coexist they must, as such feelings do in all of us. Rey, but if I'm here with you? Yoda, a choice you must make, to return or remain. Luke, here there is serenity, knowledge, peace. There is loss. There is loss, but not forgotten. She looks beyond, then a shimmer, flecks of energy. And there, Obi-Wan, well, there you will face a galaxy in turmoil, pain and suffering, the loss of those you love. Yoda, but living you will be. Love you shall. We hold on Rey's face as she considers the life she's yet to live and makes her decision. Rey, thank you. The spirits fade into the cosmic force as the light then overwhelms us. Obi's one voice echoes. You are a Jedi, Rey Solana. but you will not be the last. After giving her this choice between dying and being at peace, or going back to the world of the living to rebuild the Jedi Order, we then end the movie. We see Rey has chosen the latter, and she's on a desert world training a new generation of kids, including Broom Boy himself. Whoo! Look, some of you are going to react annoyed, whatever. I loved it. I think it's such better summary and realization, and it all connects better. It's all justified. It feels earned. This is such a stronger script. Overall, this is the path we could have had, and it's frustrating to me because I look, whether you like Last Jedi or not, I've come to respect it more just because I really don't like the rushed decisions of Rise of Skywalker. I would have much preferred this ending of the trilogy than to go back and just try to no, it's all this and the Emperor. It's so frustrating, and it makes me even sadder for Colin Trevorrow because Colin, great work, man. Derek Connolly, Colin Trevorrow, I like it. I liked it. I think I would have liked this much better. Look, a lot of things can change through post and Disney's notes and everything, so who knows what it would have been, but the potential was here. There was a lot of really great moments, really good, memorable sequences that I can't think of one strong sequence out of Rise of Skywalker. The finale where why don't we see these Force ghosts? Why not? This is the cultivation of all 9 films. Why wouldn't we see them all there to sort of help her finally get there? She needs it. Why not? All of those lines, I love it. I just think it feels so much connected. And I love ending it with giving her name. It actually, to me, is a beautiful capper, and it's the arc she wanted. It's all she's been searching for is, who is she? And for her to end Star Wars by saying, I'm Rey Skywalker, I'm more and more frustrated as we learn. And I think some of you should be as well. As we gather what could have been and what Disney did, it makes me frustrated. So look, I got more to talk about this. I want to get more into this no JJ cut. I'm going to do another video about that soon, so stay tuned. Please subscribe. Please hit join if you aren't a member already, and hit me up on social media. I got a lot more in store. I want to talk about this. And like I said, go give Rob some love because I got to give him respect. I like that he's out there because without him, I don't know if I could have come forward with my information too. So go support Robert Burnett. And thank you so much for watching. What do you think? Does this change your mind? Would this have been a better episode 9? What do you think? Again, this was the real script. This is the real deal. This is what Disney passed on. Kathleen Kennedy didn't like it. JJ didn't like it. More on that coming soon. So be sure to subscribe. Thank you for your support. And again, apologies, Colin and Derek. I really enjoy what you wrote, and I'm sorry you have to stay silent. I'm going to speak for you. I hope you don't mind. I got your back in this. Disney, man, you made a mistake, and just admit it. That's my 2 cents. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Nerd Wars live on this channel and so much more, so be sure to subscribe. Thanks, everybody. Bye.